here we go then. So, welcome to Movements from the Grassroots. The three panellists coming on the stage are, first up, please give a warm welcome to Lipa Nessa, who is a sports activist. Come sit next to me. Next, please give a warm welcome to Yasmin Nessa of Saltley Stallions. And last but never least in my world, the wonderful Francesca Brown from Goals for Girls. Who's literally just arrived a few minutes ago, thanks to the trains, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this particular discussion, we're going to look at the English, like the grassroots landscape. I use those words, the trenches, proper getting in there, celebrating its dynamism, and groups like Goals for Girls and Saltley Stallions. But we're going to talk about the issues that currently remain, what the professional game can learn from the grassroots, and how we should engage with them. But before we dive deep into all that, I think it's only right that we hear a little bit about yourselves. So Lipa, the massive Liverpudlian fan. She's a massive Liverpool FC fan, this person here to my left. Tell everybody who you are, where you come from.
So my name is Lipa. I'm from Bedford. Not everyone knows where that is. Somewhere near Luton, somewhere near Milton Keynes. So there somewhere. I'm a big Liverpool fan, absolutely love football, watching it. And I used to play at semi-professional level. However, due to conflict, I had to give that up. And then I decided to become a coach and study sports business and coaching at university. Then slowly went into policy, board level with my sports.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. My name is Yasmin. I'm from Birmingham. Sorry, that was a bad echo. I'm from Birmingham and I set up Saltley Women's Football Club in 2019. Really, I had something that was really simple. I wanted to make sports more accessible, football particularly, to Muslim females, South Asian females in inner city Birmingham. We talk about grassroots, but we can't go back to the bare basics of having facilities available specifically to serve our needs, so that's kind of what Saltley Women's aims to do.
Hi everyone, I'm Francesca Brown. I'm the Chief Executive and founder of Goals for Girls, which is a football development programme working with girls aged 11 to 16. We work in schools to fundamentally break down the barriers for young women and girls, to inspire them to raise their aspirations, motivational skills and confidence through football and education. And how do we do that? We do that through workshops, mentoring, qualifications, FA qualifications in particular, and also getting the girls accessibility into football by providing sustainable development pathways beyond secondary education. And a little bit about myself, so I'm a chief executive, I'm an inspirational speaker as well, and yeah, I'm just trying to break down as many barriers as a black female and a black CEO within the game and the industry.
Francesca, you're so modest because you've won loads of accolades as well. I'm going to reel off the list here. Sorry to embarrass you, but I think this is great. Pride of Britain, Football Blacklist, NatWest Business Awards. As someone who's been in the game for a long time, what do you see the situation in terms of grassroots football? How do you see it today?
I do see that there has been changes, considering the fact that we work in the most marginalised communities within the whole of London. What we're finding is that we are seeing changes, we are seeing that there is a little bit more access, especially within the female game. But what you're finding is within marginalised communities, there is not enough access. Places like the Wildcats projects and other projects are actually not coming into those communities. And a lot of our girls have to travel out to access these things. And then if you think about the restrictions and barriers that causes as well in regards to finances, being able to travel, being post-code wars, which does happen for females as well, that if they cross over from East London, let's say Stratford into Hackney, there could be issues there because of just where they come from. That's also facing and providing barriers as well for the young women and girls. So I am seeing changes, but not enough within the marginalised communities. And a prime example is the Women's Euros. There's been hardly any publicity within them communities or areas for them young people to access or find out more information about what is going on within the Women's Euros. So if young women and girls are not getting that access, how can we possibly raise their aspirations, their confidence, self-esteem, and provide role models for them within the sporting industry to actually live up to them expectations and want to go out and be a professional? So I do believe there is small changes, but again, all these massive industries and organizations, they're going the wrong way. So for example, they are channeling the questions and the issues still from the top, the hierarchy, rather than actually going into the community and saying, what do you need? What are you lacking within this community? They're kind of answering these questions without knowing. And a prime example again is the tickets distributions for the Euros. I don't think any of our girls, we had to fight to try and get them tickets for them kids. But half the stadiums are not like the full, but they could be a lot more fuller than what they are. So where are these tickets actually going? Because they're somehow all gone. So I do believe that larger organizations need to look at the people who are on the ground, creating this change and making these changes to actually have a long-lasting impact.
If you haven't had a chance, by the way, there's a really good article that Anita Santi's written in The Guardian today about the England Lionesses. Have a look at it because it's really, really good. And she's also been announced as a first-team coach of Bristol Women FC as well today, which is really good news. Yay! Hope you can hear us, Anita. Right. Yasmin, you started Saltley Stallions when you were 23 years of age. So what's been the main issues experienced by your group in terms of the ethnic minority players?
I think that it's just finding a safe, secure place to play sports in. There's a set of needs that Muslim women, South Asian women have when it comes to participating, feeling like they're in an environment where they can be free, be themselves. Sports is supposed to be accessible to anyone, especially football. That's what makes it so special. But it's cut off for a number of reasons. How normal is it for a group of Muslim girls to go to goals or to go to a park and play? It isn't, and it's difficult. And what a lot of bodies, governing bodies, don't recognise is that it's not quite as easy for us to book a pitch. It's expensive. They're £50. How are you going to find the girls? How do you communicate that message? A lot of the times you get this ignorance as well that Muslim girls don't want to play football. South Asian girls, they'd rather be at home. They do other things, but football isn't one of them. And so kind of what we do is increase that representation, diversify the sport by showing that at the very bare basic level, just come and play for the sake of it, make it fun, make football what it's supposed to be about, community, spirit, mental health, positivity, having a team around you. I think there's like this lack of confidence within us, and then that blocks us so much from being able to do it. And then the second thing is not having that physical location, that safe space. So when I started Saltley Women's, that's kind of what we set out to do. We wanted to create an environment that was safe, it was secure, women felt comfortable, they could dress how they wanted to. If they wanted to wear their hijab, they could. If they wanted to take off their hijab without compromising their beliefs, they could. But the main thing was that you take part, you enjoy it, and it betters your mental well-being.
And can I ask you, just as a follow-up to that, how seriously were you taken as a group in the beginning?
Oh, not very, I don't think. I think you'd get a few laughs here and there, like girls don't play football. We had like 4 players to begin with, but then as soon as we got the message out, we got like I think 20, 30 girls signed up over a few weeks. Like it was challenging initially to get people to take it seriously, but then afterwards they're like, whoa, like, okay, so Muslim girls actually do want to play football, and we're like, yeah, of course we do.
That's great to hear. Lipa, why is it that professional boards, are reluctant to take advice from people who work at grassroots level?
I think it's the corporate mindset. You need like 25 years experience in a certain sector to be knowledgeable or to be an expert. But even as a young person, we're still fighting for spaces on boards because like half of young people haven't even hit like the breakthrough corporate age of working of 20, 25 years in a company. We're 25 and under, right? So we're still battling through that door, let alone being a woman of color, let alone being a Muslim woman and everything else in between. But the thing about boards is they want diversity, they want youth voice, but they don't want to put the work in. And if you do get people at board level wanting to, provide young people with voices, then they're shut down. And I'm very, very grateful that I sit on two amazing boards, which is the Muslim Sports Association, which is a local charity for Muslim women to participate in various sports, and also the Youth Sports Trust, which is a national charity working with young people to provide sports and PE in every school and to make sure that extracurricular activities are available for all children and young people. And with that, plus all the other barriers that I have, I mean, just look at me, if someone sees me, they wouldn't even guess, like, she knows sports, she knows football, because there's already a media stereotype on my face. There's already a target of, she'd rather be in the kitchen, or where's she actually from? Like, she from here? No, but where are you actually from? You mean my heritage, right?
I get that as well, yeah. Where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Essex. Yeah, but where are you from? I'm from Essex.
Yeah. From my mum? Like, where do we go after that? But yeah, there's several barriers still that we need to crack down. But boards really need to provide a space for young people, because young people are the future. And if we don't get future voices in those rooms, then we're missing out on a big target audience.
Yeah, well said, well said. Francesca, you sit on boards as well. Have you had a similar experience as Lipa? Progression, but it's kind of one step at a time?
Yeah, like initially when I sit on certain boards which I sit on, I thought at first that, I'm just a tick box, which most likely am. But in all honesty, I've been able to really make an impact by using my voice and actually standing by what I believe in. And one reason why I was brought onto the, in particular board, the Football Foundation, was to literally ensure that young women and girls were being given the opportunities that they deserve. You'd be shocked how many applications come through, and they've not even considered the women's game within them applications. They've not even considered the changing room facilities, the accessibility of referees, coaches, officials. They've not even looked over the fact that these are women as well. Like, it's not just a men's sport. So I've been on the board now for about 2 or 3 years, and I've been able to really push and stick by my guns and turn around and say to them that, actually, no, I'm not going to authorise this application to go through until this has happened and this has happened. And by just being like that with another gentleman who's been on there in regards to the disability, we've been able to push so much that they've actually changed it, and it's actually become a legislation within the applications that you cannot put forward a building or a pitch space without having these considerations in place. So what is your accessibility for the young women and girls, the diversity, the disability provisions? Also, have you actually gone out into the community and found young people and organisations who will want to use that facility? Have you actually ventured out to see that? And how many women's provisions are you putting on the pitch? And are you actually using these women within the prime time, or actually are you giving them a 10 o'clock at night slot? And these are the things which I will scrutinise within all the applications, that no, it's not safe to have a young girls team attending training at 9 p.m. It's not safe for this. And so that we can form something which is long lasting, but also a space where women can thrive.
Great work. Yasmin, I'm going to slightly embarrass you now, because your work has been recognised so much that at this year's Commonwealth Games, you're going to be a baton bearer in the Smethwick area, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that deserves a round of applause, everybody. And the reason I raise this is because I think such is what you do with your community, that people have recognised your hard work. But I sense that for you, this is just scratching the surface, that there is so much more to be done.
100%. Like, to me, I always think it's such a simple concept, like, to provide women a facility. Like, you think that would be the bare basic for associations, for the Football Association to think to themselves, like, what can we do to increase sports for girls? Give them somewhere to play. Like, I feel sometimes like that I'm not doing enough, because there's so much more that we can do in terms of, like, providing equipment, providing kit, speaking to parents, speaking to young girls. What are their aspirations? What do they how do they want to take it further? How can football meet other aspects of their life in terms of their career journeys? Because it links in to different parts of life too. There is a lot more further that we can go towards, and just creating spaces that normalize that we're here, that we're going to take part in the sport, and we should have the same access that men do as well. There's a lot more that we can do.
Last question before we open the floor. This one's for you, Lipa. What can be... I guess you get tired about being asked this same question about, what can be done more about linking the grassroots with the professional game. What can be done to be linked more for the grassroots to the professional game? And the truth is, the professional game cannot survive without grassroots. So how do we get people to understand that more, particularly from girls' and women's point of view?
I think governing bodies, especially football clubs as well, need to emphasise the importance of grassroots football, especially the pool of young children we're getting in, and especially after the Euros, there's going to be an influx of girls and women wanting to join clubs. Where do they go to join these clubs? There's a massive gap. Like, is there a website? Like, if you put a postcode in, do you get something? Because I've tried that. Because someone came up to me saying, Lipa, I want to play a game, and I want to play football, where do I go? And sometimes it's too competitive and they don't want to join the competitive side of football, they just want to play it for fun, just to relax. And they don't even have that opportunity, especially rural areas in comparison to urban areas. Because whilst I was coaching in London, there were opportunities everywhere. There were power leagues where you could play football, get a group of friends, kick about, happy days. But in rural areas, good luck finding that. Most of the time, they're probably locked off, or, it's farmers' land. Like, that is literally it. And in terms of the importance, it needs to be echoed from young. It's like school. You start at primary and then you work yourself up. If we don't know our ABCs, then how are we going to write an essay? So if we don't teach our kids the importance of football, kicking the ball, mental wellness, physical wellness, then how are we going to translate that into the professional game?
Yeah, well said. Okay, we've got time for a couple of questions before we move on to the next lot. Does anybody want to ask our three fantastic gentlemen at the back, please? Esther. Sorry, thank you.
Hi, question for Francesca, just in regards to the Football Foundation. So I'm with Yasmin from Saltley Women's Football Club, and the women and girls are our club this year, are entering for the first time into an 11-a-side league. I just want to ask, maybe not around the process, but how difficult it is for grassroots organisation to access or draw down Football Foundation funding, because you've got to kind of go through your local county FA lead first, and if you're in Birmingham, which is the largest county FA in the UK, there's only one member of staff that works under facilities. So you've got to go through first, and then there's about 4,000 affiliated teams in the county, and then go through the whole process of putting the application in and then having the consultations. Can that process be made any easier based on, organisations doing specific thing around the women's games? Like, for example, our girls at the moment, and we say it as it is. We've got, for the away teams this year, we've got a porter cabin that they're going to get changed in. And unfortunately, our girls from the home team, we've got a shipping container that we've converted into a gym, so the girls will be getting changed in the gym. Now, that's really unfair in my opinion. But we haven't got the luxuries to go out and travel and find a pitch that's got all the adequate facilities. So I'm just wondering what more can be done around kind of putting the spotlight or raising awareness of the women's game. Sorry, it's a long-winded, so many different answers or questions within one. Francesca, yeah, sorry.
So the Football Foundation have put, recently after they did a lot of research in regards to grassroots organisations accessing their funding, they've actually kind of revamped the way how they allow people to apply for the funding, and also the amount they will allow to distribute and the priorities that they'll put in place for certain organisations. Obviously, the women's game is at the peak of their priority, and disability as well is at the peak of wherever they put their local pitches and things like that. There's 3 things that the Football Foundation will look at, and the processing is there because there's pots of money which come from not only Sports England, but the Football Foundation and the FA. So you kind of have to go through each one of those doors before they release all that funding, because it comes through to one pot. The things which they look at is, have you as an organisation gone out into your community and said, okay, is this high need? Obviously, with what you've just said, it is a high need, but is that going to be, if they put a 3G, 2G or whatever Astro pitch there, 4G, is it going to be utilised? How much is it going to be utilised? Do you have other clubs which will be using it as well? Have you gone out into your community to try and provisionally raise funds? They love that. If you've gone out into your community and the community have said, right, we're happy to support you with, let's say £30,000 to build the pitch, they're more likely to look at your application and actually put it through quicker than an organisation who is just solely relying on the FA and the Football Foundation to just fund everything for them. So they want to see that you're actively working and engaging and trying to create those positive steps to create that change within that community. Obviously, you running them clubs is creating a positive impact and change, but are you actively going out to seek the support and fundings? Is the organisations out there which can support? In regards to the whole processing, I do agree with their processing, because you can only imagine they get inundated with thousands of applications, and if they didn't go through all the due diligence, you can only imagine how much funding will go to the areas which it shouldn't go to. But they are looking at areas which are more of the IMD areas which need that support, and I know that is something which is on their high priority list. But what you do find is there's not a lot of spaces within these urban areas to actually build. So what they're trying to do is actually speak to local councils, parks, other organisations, existing football pitches, to say, can we build on top of this to support organisations like yourself? I hope that answers your question.
I hope so too. It was a great answer, great question as well. I'm slightly conscious of time and it's very warm in this room. So if you guys are hanging around for a bit, aren't you? So if you've got any further questions, please feel free to come and speak to our fantastic panellists. Please show your appreciation for Lipa Nessa, Yasmin Nessa and Francesca Brown. Thank you, you three. Lovely stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.